Am I learning? You're about to. To successfully answer any GCSE question linked to this specification point, you will need to be able to describe how a slide is made and how to correctly use a microscope. In addition to this specification point requires flexibility in that any question linked to 1.6 may also be linked to other specification points. Questions linked to 1.6 are not usually asked as standalone questions. How to prepare a slide is a very common question, and therefore it is advisable to memorize the process. Firstly, add a drop of water to the microscope slide. Next, place a thin layer of tissue on the slide. Stain the tissue with a couple of drops of iodine solution, and finally place the cover slip on top. How to set up and use a microscope is a very common GCSE question, and hence it is advisable that the process is memorized. Firstly, place the slide on the stage and use the lowest power objective lens. Next, turn the coarse focus wheel to bring the image into focus. Then, increase the power of the objective lens to increase magnification. And finally, turn the fine focus wheel to bring the image into clearer focus. As 1.6 is a core practical, you may be asked about the practical risks and how they can be minimized. Iodine solution is an irritant and may cause an allergic reaction or even a skin rash. If it does end up going onto your skin, wash the skin immediately, or prior to doing the experiment you could put on a pair of gloves. If the iodine solution does fall onto the desk, make sure that the spill is cleaned up. Sharp knives are hazardous because they can cause cuts. When using a knife cut away from the body, cut on a chopping board and make sure the blade is covered when not in use. Let's apply what we've learned to this past paper style question and then compare it to the mark scheme. Based on what we've learned, we would write, add a drop of water to the microscope slide, place a thin layer of tissue on the slide. Now in this case, this is referring to the onion cell tissue. Stain the tissue with a couple of drops of iodine solution and finally place the cover slip on top. Now here's the mark scheme. So we would have got a mark for the second bullet point, the third bullet point, and the fourth bullet point. This would have given us full marks for this question. This is why looking at past paper questions and mark schemes are really important, because it always gives us an insight into what the examiner wants as part of an answer. Let's apply what we've learned to this past paper style question and then compare it to the mark scheme. Based on what we have learned, we would write, place the slide on the stage and use the lowest power objective lens. Turn the coarse focus wheel to bring the image into focus. Now let's compare that to the mark scheme. So in this case, we would have got our 2 marks from the second and the third bullet point. Full marks. Our animations were designed by experienced UK trained teachers. We have been achieving amongst the best results in the country for many years, and we decided it was time to share our success. Have you just umled and want to uml some more? Don't forget to like, subscribe and share to keep yourself up to date with the latest uploads. Am I learning? You just did.